कि आपने जब स्टार्ट किया था अपना जर्नी, आपके पास सिर्फ 2,000 रुपए थे.
When you have very little money, you learn to think out of the box. The first 10 years was roughly 6 years I could not take a salary.
Mr.
Sanjeev Bikhchandani, awarded the Padma Shri by the President of India.
Ask you to take off your info edge.
You keep your life very minimalist.
Always remember where you came from. We started really small. We had no money. We
Right.
struggled. We bootstrapped. So I was teaching on weekends at business schools in and around Delhi.
How are you introducing AI? Like,
हमारे यहाँ 100 से ऊपर AI engineers हैं.
wow. Work hours, so weekly work hours. क्योंकि सुब्रमण्यम सर बोलते हैं कि
If I can make you work on Sundays, I'll be more happier.
you bet on the founder or you bet on the startup.
And early stage में, yes, perhaps a founder is more important than, because I have said no to enough companies that went on to do very, very well.
You did not invest in an idea and then आपको बाद में लगा कि यार इसको करना चाहिए था, इधर कितना.
Well, I said no to Flipkart in the pre-series A. I said no to Ola in the pre-series A. I don't think you can watch the clock. Leadership प्रति घंटा नहीं होती है.
The companies are all about the personal branding.
I think it's more important to have customers than to have social media follow. You should raise money when the investors come to you rather than you going to investors.
Judging Shark Tank India.
Declined for 2-3 reasons.
So how does nepotism work in corporates?
देखिए, our
Hello guys, I'm back again with another exciting episode on Pitch and Hire's YouTube channel. Yes, I'm your host Vanya और आज के हमारे जो गेस्ट हैं उनको आप सब लोग जानते हो and he is the godfather of Indian startup ecosystem. उन्होंने ही नौकरी स्टार्ट किया था, उन्होंने ही इन्फोएज स्टार्ट किया था, जीवन साथी 99 एकर्स और क्या ना बोलूं. यस और मैं आ चुकी हूँ आज उन्हीं के ऑफिस में और वी आर शूटिंग विद हिम. यस मिस्टर संजीव बिखचंदानी. मुझे बहुत टाइम लगा उनके साथ अपॉइंटमेंट लेने के लिए बट आई डिड फॉर यू गाइस. सो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि आप अपना रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी निभाओ और हमारे वीडियो पे बहुत सारा प्यार लुटाओ और इसको लाइक करो और सब्सक्राइब करो. थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर टेकिंग टाइम एंड जॉइनिंग आर पॉडकास्ट. एंड सर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैं आपको बस इतना कहना चाहती हूँ कि मुझसे कोई भी मिस्टेक हो जाए तो आप मुझे माफ़ कीजिए.
don't be silly. No, thank you for inviting me.
एक मैंने आपका पॉडकास्ट देखा था जिसमें मैंने देखा कि आपने बताया कि आपने जब स्टार्ट किया था अपना जर्नी आपके पास सिर्फ 2,000 रुपए थे.
That is correct.
एंड देन अगर हम आज देखें 30 years डाउन द लेन 2000 इज नथिंग. बट देन अगर आज मुझे कोई 20,000 या 2 लाख भी दे दे कि आप कुछ कर लो अपनी लाइफ में तो कैसे सर आपने कैसे किया वो?
I think when you have very little money, you learn to think out of the box and you learn to do more with less. So we kept saying we have no money. How do we do it? So we have to produce something, a product or a service where clients pay us in advance. There is very little variable cost and we can do our work on credit. So you pay late, you earn early, and there is almost no variable cost. And we figured that maybe we can do a salary survey where we are putting our own time to gather data. तो उसके लिए कोई खर्चा नहीं है. We are selling by direct mail to a number of. So we put in labor. जिसके लिए हमने salary नहीं ली. We did not have a computer. I borrowed time from a friend who had a computer, and we produced the reports. And then we mailed out to maybe 600 HR managers, and we built a mailing list by ourselves, going through appointment ads in the JNU library, back issues of Business India, Economic Times. हमने मेलिंग लिस्ट बनाई और चिट्ठियाँ भेजी. तो the only payment we had to make actually was for postage, because वो तो एडवांस में करना पड़ता है. Even printing was on credit of the letterheads. I think the report writing was our own labor, data gathering was our own labor. Computer time was free. I borrowed it from a friend. तो हमने बैग borrow करके कर दिया. And then the money came in. We paid off everybody and everything, and we kept the surplus. And from there, we began our business.
वाओ सर. लेकिन आज के टाइम में किसी के पास 2 लाख भी हो तो कैसे, मतलब कुछ टिप्स थी?
I think the principles are simple. That you should run your business on the customer's money.
Right.
Which means you're producing something that is so different, so unique, so much wanted by your client that they are willing to pay you in advance.
Right.
And that gets your cash flow going.
राइट. तो आपने जब स्टार्ट किया था आई थिंक उस टाइम पे तो स्टार्टअप्स थे ही नहीं बट देन 30 years में इतना
When the term startup was not popular.
Right.
And the term entrepreneurship was not popular.
Right.
It was simply, I'm doing a business.
That is why you are the godfather. सर अभी आज के टाइम में इतना इवॉल्व हम हो चुके हैं विद ऑल द AI एंड एवरीथिंग. सो हाउ आर यू इंट्रोड्यूसिंग AI? लाइक आपने कैसे अडेप्ट किया AI को?
देखिए, इन्फो एज में जो कंपनी का नाम है, जो नौकरी को ओन करती है, हमारे यहाँ 100 से ऊपर AI इंजीनियर्स हैं.
वाओ.
And this team has been built up gradually over the last 4 or 5 years. Of course, we have been doing things before Gen AI, from 2008-9 onwards, which today are called AI. That time we did not know it was AI. We're just doing it. Okay, so we are reasonably well equipped, well versed. We know a fair bit about stuff like machine learning algorithms, right? Even before Gen AI came, and we had done enough work in that area. A lot of it was fairly popular, useful, successful. Jab Gen AI aaya, so then we began to seriously look at putting a large team together, which can look at some of this. And they are working, continuously on building new products and features. So abhi humne 22 cheezein launch ki hain within Naukri, which use Gen AI. And there are more coming out every month.
Right.
A lot of them are very popular with our clients. Some of them are new services, some of them are new products, some of them are improvements and upgrades of existing products and features.
Right.
Okay. For example, you can put your CV and put the job you're applying to, and it will come out with possible questions
Wow.
that you may be asked in the
That's
interview.
innovative.
Okay. Now, this is not a service we were providing earlier. And this is not something that can be done manually very, very well, because no human being can know enough about all jobs and all CVs to be able to come out with a list of questions that you're likely to be asked. And this is where I think Gen AI is useful.
Right.
And is truly unique. And this is something that has not been done earlier.
Right.
Okay. For example, with Gen AI, we can develop assessment tests.
Right. We can.
So look at your CV, look at the job, and say, "Ye written test aa sakta hai
Yeah.
for a technical job," and which are very often used in the
Right.
software industry.
Right.
And you can keep on assessing yourself and grading yourself.
True.
We have even developed a voice assessment test. So for
Right.
some jobs, sales, service, call center, wherever there's an interface with clients, I think how you talk, how articulate you are, is really important. And there's a voice assessment test
Right.
that we developed, where you're asked a question and you give the answer
Right.
all verbal, and it grades your answer.
Yeah.
And talks about your, not just the content, but also your language, your accent, everything.
So basically,
and
it's
gives
all
you
about,
feedback.
Right. It's all about how are you leveraging the technology. Right?
That's right. So we are quite determined to be, and we already made good progress to be
Right.
I think, number one AI-enabled job site in the country first,
Right.
and then the world.
Right. Wow. Obviously, I think इतने पोर्टल्स आ चुके हैं जॉब के मार्केट में, बट स्टिल आज भी हर बंदा जो जॉब के लिए मार्केट में है वो पहले नौकरी पे तो होगा ही होगा. एंड आई थिंक आपने एक वो सस्टेनेबिलिटी बिल्ड करी है कि हम किसी से ही बात करें, किसी क्लाइंट से ही बात करें, कुछ भी बात होती है तो सब यही बोलते हैं कि येस वी आर यूजिंग नौकरी, एंड देन ऑब्वियसली इट्स प्रायोरिटी फॉर एवरीबडी बिकॉज यू हैव बिल्ट दैट थिंग फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट एंड everybody is so comfortable with it. And sir, आपने obviously Zomato और पॉलिसी बाजार में इन्वेस्ट करके उनको यूनिकॉर्न तो बना ही दिया है. So
नहीं, देखिए, हमने यूनिकॉर्न नहीं बनाया. They have become valuable,
Right.
both for their clients and for investors,
Right.
and for the employees and for the founders, due to their own efforts and their own genius. We have simply invested early, and we are grateful and glad they allowed us to invest.
Right. Wow. Sir, you are so, you keep your life very minimalist. Like you don't like to be lot of in headlines and everything. And then आप एकदम इतने down to earth भी हैं. You talked to me, you responded to me, you had a call with me as well. So how do you maintain all this, and why is it so important for the founders today?
See, I think it's really important to always remember where you came from.
Right.
Right? So, we started really small. We had no money.
Right.
We struggled. We bootstrapped. In the first 10 years, for roughly 6 years, I could not take a salary. And I was doing a second job and a third job to survive. So I was teaching on weekends at business schools in and around Delhi to earn some pocket money. I was being paid per hour classes. So it's important to remember the days of struggle.
Right.
So you don't lose touch. And just be, if you achieve something, be grateful.
Yeah, gratitude and being grateful is very important. And like you mentioned that you had been working overtime, obviously, and then you pushed yourself. You did not take salary for 6 years. So उसी से मुझे एक क्वेश्चन याद आया कि आजकल बहुत ज़्यादा चर्चा है हमारे IT इंडस्ट्री में अबाउट द वर्क आवर्स और वीकली वर्क आवर्स, क्योंकि सुब्रमण्यम सर बोलते हैं कि इट शुड बी 90 hours per week.
Well, I think to be fair to him, he was speaking half in jest
Right.
at an internal company event. That leaked out and went viral, and a lot of people expressed outrage. I think Mr. Narayan Murthy has talked about 70 hours.
Right, 70 hours.
You see, I think it's up to you to figure out how much you want to work,
Right.
and therefore where you want to work. And nobody should be forced to work more than he or she wants to. But if you're in a job that requires extra hours and you don't want to put them, then maybe you're in the wrong job.
Right.
आप देखिए, what will happen if a soldier at the front line says, oh, the enemy is attacking,
True.
but it's after 5:30 or it's a weekend, so I'm not going to defend.
Right.
Or the police services. Or if there's a deadline to be met. My first job was in advertising, in client servicing, and there was no concept of work-life balance. You had to do what it took to get the job done. Right? As my good friend Manish Sabarwala of Team Lease, founder of Team Lease, puts it very, I think, succinctly and in a very articulate manner, but very insightfully. He says, some people may consider the need to work hard and long hours as an opportunity.
Right.
Some others may view it as oppression. You decide where you stand.
Right.
And then you figure out where you want to work and how you want to work. But if you are in a job where you are an apprentice for future leadership potentially, right? I don't think you can watch the clock. Leadership prati ghanta nahi hoti hai.
Right.
9 to 5 nahi hoti hai. Right? And you don't become an apprentice for leadership through clock watching. So there is a entitlement mindset. It is transactional. And there is an achievement mindset.
Right.
And people who have an achievement mindset ask different questions. People who have an entitlement mindset ask different questions.
True.
So you decide where you want to stand.
Right. So basically it's up to us and we need to define our work hours ourselves कि हमें कितना put करना है, because obviously everything.
But देखिए, market है. It's
Right.
a competitive market. People will figure out who's who and what is what and
Right.
who's worth what.
Right.
And, you make up your mind where you want to be.
True. So, sir, we all know right now we are in economic crisis kind of in India, and lots of layoffs are happening in most of the companies.
Not that much. I mean, I've not got news of too many layoffs happening. But yes, some sectors are a little soft. Some are still okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little patchy. At a macro level, economic growth is above 6%. That seems to be better than most of the world. Yes, there's uncertainty. Yes, there's geopolitical flux. Yes, the US administration government is talking tough on tariffs. And yes, therefore there's uncertainty. But wait and watch, let's see what happens. I think India is still, compared to the rest of the world, fairly well insulated from international crises.
Right.
But let's wait and watch and see what happens.
Right. So sir, there are startups कि वो क्या करते हैं, वो फंडिंग उठा के बहुत ज़्यादा एकदम से ग्रो कर जाते हैं, यूनिकॉर्न भी बन जाते हैं. But there are lots of unicorns who are not, I would say, money making startups. They are funded, they are a unicorn, but still they are in loss. So what is your take on that?
देखिए, each company is unique,
Right.
in a unique situation. And therefore, if somebody is making a loss, and that's part of a growth strategy, and their shareholders and investors are okay with that, and there are more and more investment available to that company to follow that strategy, then maybe it's okay. On the other hand, if you are in a situation where you've got money in your bank, but you don't have operating cash flows, and you aren't going to get too much more money, then maybe you should figure out how you're going to make a profit pretty soon.
True. So, sir, we are all moving towards a digital era. And then the companies are all about the personal branding and flaunting over the social medias and everything. So do you ever feel the pressure to be more visible?
Not really. I mean, see, I think it's more important to have customers than to have social media followers.
Yeah,
Right? And if you have customers and they're paying you a price that's higher than your cost,
right.
and you've got enough of those customers, then hopefully you'll be okay.
So what was your
The
strategy?
purpose of
Yeah.
business is to be sustainable, make
Right.
a profit, create value for
True.
customers, for shareholders, for employees, for all stakeholders. And if you're fulfilling that purpose, you're okay. And social media followers are not necessarily increasing value.
Right. So what was your strategy when you built InfoEdge, Naukri? So have you made sure कि हमेशा मेरा जो company है, it should be profitable?
I think we have a good sort of virtuous circle going for us. The network effect works for us. We are therefore reasonably profitable. We have enough stickiness with both job seekers and with recruiters. And our aim is to keep on preserving that. And to do that, we must innovate constantly.
So sir, when you invest in any startup, what are the few things that you check in any founder? Like you bet on the founder or you bet on the startup?
It's actually both. We bet on both. And early stage yes, perhaps the founder, is more important than
Right.
the business idea or business performance. Because I have said no to enough companies that went on to do very, very well. At the same time, some of the companies we invested in have gone on to do very, very well.
Right.
So you invest in both the founder and the business idea.
So sir, ऐसा कभी हुआ है that you invested in a company and then it failed?
Several times, but not because the founders failed, or not because the founders were not great. You always invest behind founders you believe are great.
Right.
You believe in them, that's why you invest in them. And yes, sometimes things don't work out, and that's part of life.
तो सर ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि you did not invest in an idea and then आपको बाद में लगा कि यार इसको करना चाहिए था, इधर कितना achieve
देखिए, like I said, I've said no to several companies.
Yeah.
Okay, which went on to do very well. I said no to Flipkart in the pre-series A. I said no to Ola in the pre-series A. I said no to Snapdeal at 28 million. I said no to Lenskart. I said no to a bunch of companies that went on to become very, very valuable. But what we have learned is that TK, just move on. So long as some of the ones you've done are good, it doesn't matter the ones you missed.
So sir, एक बहुत ही important question जो हम सब लोग जानना चाहते हैं आपसे कि if me or anybody who is building a startup would want you to invest money in our startup, then what are the steps for the same? Like how can we reach you out for the same?
I think very simple. You can contact anybody at InfoEdge Ventures. You can contact, you can send a mail to me, and hopefully we'll get back.
And what should we prepare?
Then you just talk about
Pitch deck.
yourself and your business idea.
Right.
What you're doing.
If somebody is pre-revenue, then also they can pitch or only come?
We are happy to meet anybody.
Yeah.
When we invested in PolicyBazaar, it was just an idea, not even a PowerPoint.
Wow.
When we invested in Zomato, they were doing 1 lakh rupees a month
Wow.
revenue. So yeah, we look at ideas at all stages.
So sir, have you ever thought of judging Shark Tank India?
Well, actually, I was called, but I declined for 2-3 reasons. So one is, it was a time when there was COVID. And this involved traveling to Bombay 9 times in September, October. I could not travel, and this COVID. And also, we run a fund and we invest ourselves. So I can't invest personally. And we have a process at an investment committee. And, I can't say yes on TV and then bring them to the investment committee and say no.
Right.
Okay. So for several of those reasons, I was unable to go.
Wow. So now if things get sorted, if your team, because we definitely would want to watch you there judging because...
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work into a method of investing. I cannot say yes in 20 minutes.
Okay. So sir, we have learned of nepotism in Bollywood. So how does nepotism work in corporates?
Dekhiye, ours is not a family business. It's a professionally managed business. And
Right.
I have a daughter and a son.
Right.
And my daughter is doing her own startup
Wow.
in apparel. Kapde, she and a co-founder, kapde banate hain, bechte hain. My son is a journalist.
Wow.
So, nobody over here sort of gets family into the business.
Wow. So you don't want them to join, or they are not willing to?
Well, like I said, this is not a family business.
Wow.
And they also want to do their own thing.
Wow. I mean, this is the kind of, obviously, we would want our daughter to be an entrepreneur. But then you let them choose their career. So great, literally. So, sir, we also know that you, before InfoEdge, you started some other business that did not work out.
No, so InfoEdge has existed since 1990.
Okay.
Naukri was launched in 97.
Right.
Between 1990 and 97,
Salary survey.
we did a whole bunch of small things, small ideas. Maybe 15, 20 of them. Salary survey, database, reports, teaching, training, writing. Whatever came my way to survive. Okay? And nothing ever actually failed, because we had kept, हमारे खर्चे इतने कम थे कि even with a small amount of revenue, you broke even, and therefore you did not fail. So the lesson there is to be frugal. खर्चा कम रखो. खर्चा कम रखोगे, तो आपको, you're only in control of your costs. You're not in control of your sales or your revenue. तो जितना कम sale होगा, फिर भी you'll survive. And in the first 7 years, survival or success.
Right.
कि if you could pay salaries to the employees at the end of every month, you're okay.
So, sir, today's startup are burning a lot of cash in the marketing itself. They are running paid marketing, paid campaigns, influencer campaigns, PR campaigns.
So I think times have changed.
Right.
I think we never had enough capital. We had very little capital. So you had to break even to survive. आजकल capital उपलब्ध है. तो क्योंकि capital उपलब्ध है, आप और खर्चा कर सकते हो. तो had I been doing a startup now, and I had access to capital, maybe I'd do the same thing. Like I would spend more money.
But sir, I would still say you would still be a baniya in the business.
I think that is our schooling.
Right.
That is our upbringing. That kharcha kam amdani zyada.
So what is that one book that you would recommend to all the upcoming entrepreneurs they should read and learn from it?
So I think some of the books that I have, I think a couple of them that have impacted me. There's a common author in both of them. One is called Built to Last, and the other is Good to Great.
Wow.
So one is about how companies, what are the DNA and wiring of companies that last a long time. Second is, how do you move from merely being good to becoming a great company? Yeah. So, these are both very, very good books.
Have you ever thought of writing one?
I have several times, but I'm very lazy. So I never got down to it.
So, sir, what is your go-to thing whenever you want to refresh yourself, or आज की generation के में बोले कि हमें खुद को recharge करना है? How do you recharge yourself?
I think I do yoga in the morning.
Wow, still.
I have an instructor coming. I read a bit. Not as much as I used to, but I still read a bit. I watch often documentaries, history documentaries. I'm very interested in history. History documentaries, often on YouTube.
Wow.
Those are 2 or 3 things I do.
Do you still meet your team members and talk to them?
All the time. You can't work without people.
Nice. So, sir, if you had a magic wand to fix one thing about India's job market, what it would be?
I think if you fix the education and the skilling, you automatically make people more employable. And if you make people more employable, they will find jobs, or jobs will find them.
So what is the most challenging thing that you think आजकल job seekers face कर रहे हैं कि उनको job मिल ही नहीं रही है? Is it the attitude or the skilling, or what is it?
I think people need the first break. And if you have the first break, you see, no matter what you might call it, the first 3, 4, 5 years of your career essentially is an apprenticeship because you're learning on the job. And एक बारी आपको 2, 3, 4 साल का experience मिल जाए, you're set, because then you will get your breaks and you will move ahead in life.
Right. So, sir, mostly हमने देखा हमारी इंडस्ट्री फ्रेशर्स ही स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, एंड देन सिंस TCS और इन्फोसिस और कैपजेमिनी यही सब जो कंपनीज थी वो एकदम से बल्क हायरिंग करती थी कॉलेजेस से, 1000 हायरिंग्स पर ईयर एंड ऑल दैट. सो वो थोड़ा सा स्लो डाउन हो चुका है since last 2-3 years.
It'll come back. I mean, these things move in waves and cycles, and it'll come back.
So sir, since the AI has been launched, how many times has it been happened कि आपको ये बोल के पिच किया गया this is next gen AI powered platform?
I think every startup now, almost every startup has got an element of AI embedded in it.
Right.
Some are AI first, some are this done using AI. Okay, and I think that's the nature of things because
Right.
it's a new technology, it's a powerful technology, and if leveraged well, can make a big difference.
Right.
So everybody's doing it, and that's a good sign.
And any idea कि किसी ने बोला कि this is AI powered, but still it did not make any sense.
I'm sure it has, but I put that to my own limitation of understanding, as opposed to the person who's doing the wrong thing.
So that is you, sir. I mean, so sir, if you had 100 crores to invest today, and would you put it in a new startup or buy an apartment or chill?
I would probably invest it in public markets or mutual funds or fixed deposits in the bank, with maybe 20% going to startups.
Wow, nice. So sir, when any founder is pitching you, what are the few things that you see in them apart from the idea, like the zeal in them?
I think you're looking to see what the founders are made of,
Right.
how they think, what their goals and ambitions are. Will they stay for the long run? अगर tough times आ गए उनको तुम खानी दे पाए, will they stay? Can they attract talent? Are they good with people? How will they treat the minority shareholders? Do they understand the importance of corporate governance?
Right.
Those are some of the things.
So sir, when obviously आज के जितने भी स्टार्टअप द एंथुसियास्ट है, दे हैव बीन फॉलोइंग शार्क टैंक इंडिया जब से वो लॉन्च हुआ है, तो हम वहाँ पर देख रहे हैं कि जैसे ही कोई IIT IIM से कोई आता है तो वो एकदम से अट्रैक्ट हो जाते हैं कि यार इस पे बैट करनी चाहिए, दिस फाउंडर कैन बी अ गुड पिक.
So, yes, of course, credentials matter in this country, but it's not as if only people with credentials succeed. You look at some of the biggest businesses in this country. Dhirubhai Ambani, to the best of my knowledge, had only completed schooling in class 8. So, India's one of India's largest, most valuable companies, Reliance. You talk to many of the original founders of large companies, may not be new digital companies, may not be IT companies, but others. And you will find that people do not have, are not IT IIM very often.
So sir, you have invested in a lot of domains of startups. So ऐसा कोई domain जो अभी तक रह गया है और आपको करना है कि नहीं, if some idea would click in this particular domain, तो I'll definitely.
So we don't invest top down. हम sector नहीं देखते, हम domain नहीं देखते. We just meet startups.
Okay.
And if it makes sense, then we back it.
Guys, हम भी आने वाले हैं विजन हायर के लिए. हमें भी यूनिकॉर्न बनना है. But we need sir का good luck. So sir, do you believe Indian startups are focusing too much on valuation and exits rather than building sustainable businesses?
No, I think valuation should be a consequence of sales, growth, and profit. If it precedes that, then that's not sustainable valuation unless sales, growth, and profit follow.
So, sir, what is better, bootstrapping or VC funding? And when is the right time that you think you should go for the funding now?
Bootstrapping teaches you a lot. It teaches you to do more with less.
Right.
It forces you to focus on customer needs. It focuses you to focus on sales and get some revenue. It focuses you to do all these things, and that's very, very good. At the same time, funding gives you some confidence, gives you insurance, gives you some comfort. And both obviously are useful. When you should raise money is A, when you need it, and B, when you can put it to good use. Okay.
Right.
And, that you can figure out.
Wow.
and see when you're getting it.
Right.
But, I was in a panel discussion maybe 10, 20 years ago, and sitting next to me was Sanjeev Agarwal of Helion Ventures, now Fundamentum, founder of Daksh, a big call center, maybe 25 years ago. And we were, it was a live interaction. And there was a book launch. And somebody in the audience asked the panel a question. When is it a good time to raise money? And he gave a very profound answer, which I agree with. He said, you should raise money when the investors come to you rather than you going to investors.
Right.
Because that is when you will get the valuation you want. That is when you won't waste too much time trying to raise money, building a deck, pitching, getting rejected into 100 places.
True.
So get your company into a position where investors come to you, rather than you having to go out and pitch.
Nicely said.
Because you will get your terms of trade, you will, a lot of good things will happen. So what is it that will get your company into a position where investors come to you? He said customers, revenue, growth.
Right.
So if you have that, investors will come to you. And then you raise money.
Wow. I think ये हमें नोट कर लेना चाहिए लाइन. And we will have to work on ourselves, improve ourselves. और उतना अच्छा हमें खुद को बनाना है कि हमें इन्वेस्टर्स को सेल ही ना करना पड़े कि इन्वेस्टर खुद बोले कि wait, we will invest in you.
Absolutely.
Right. So do you believe the current VC funding model is broken? Like, should investors stop chasing unicorns or focus on the long-term business viability?
So investors are smart people. Very smart.
They are sharks.
Some of the smartest people in the world become venture capitalists.
Right.
Okay. And they invest in startups. So if people are investing in a certain manner, they're not being foolish. So there are some investors who will invest late, now in a late stage, now, but still unlisted company. Now they might invest behind unicorns. Some will go really early stage. So they might go into zero revenue companies, but do many more companies because there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Right.
And some will be somewhere in the middle. So हर एक की strategy होती है, and all strategies can succeed.
True.
So nobody invests to lose money.
And we have the live example of Zepto क्योंकि Blinkit के साथ ही Zepto launch हुआ and they are so young.
Well, actually Zepto came before anybody else in the instant e-commerce space. And then I think Zomato followed a few months later and so did Swiggy.
Right. But then they have already taken over the market.
Yes, I think Blinkit has done rather well.
Right. But I have both the apps.
Which one do you use more?
Because Zepto gives free delivery. So I don't know, there could be vague charges, but then yes, it attracts the bunny mind ki yes, I'm getting free delivery. So I usually use Zepto. But then something, if it is out of stock in Zepto, I switch to Blinkit. I keep both. So sir, there are some founders who says investors push for unrealistic growth targets, which leads to burnout and toxic work culture. Do you think it actually happens?
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration and it's certainly not universal. हर कोई investor अलग होता है. It also depends on what the founder committed while raising the money.
Right.
Now, if you're very aggressive as a founder, then you want higher and higher valuation, you will get these aggressive growth targets.
Right.
The two go together. If on the other hand, you manage the expectation of the investor slightly differently, it may mean a lower valuation when they invest. But if you're okay with that and you manage expectations differently, then you will not get those targets.
So you're saying everything is a two-way street. If you have committed something, then that's when...
Absolutely.
So what is the one red flag in a founder that makes you walk away from an investment right away, instantly?
There is no one red flag. There are several green flags and there are several red flags.
We are focused on red flags now.
No, but I'll tell you, see, if a founder is doing two things, ये company, मैं दो companies कर रहा हूँ. This is my older company and this is my newer company. I'm raising money in the newer company, that's why I want, but I will do both companies. So the founder is not 100% committed. See, there has to be complete alignment of interest between the founder and the investor, as far as we are concerned when we invest. What it means is you have to be 100% committed to the business in which we are going to invest. Because you will make it happen.
Right.
अगर आप दो या तीन चीजें कर रहे हो, ये option है आपकी, doesn't work for us. Right? That's important. You should have burnt your bridges everywhere else. So if the company goes down, you go down.
Right.
That's when you'll work hard enough to succeed.
True. So sir, we are seeing a rise in celebrity entrepreneurs in the market. बहुत सारे सेलिब्रिटीज अपना कुछ प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च कर देते हैं. एंड देन डू यू थिंक पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग इज एक्चुअली टेकिंग ओवर रियल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप?
I don't think so. I think the customer is not a fool. Personal branding is important, and personal branding does have a role to play. But so does traditional marketing, and ultimately, customer choose what he or she wants.
राइट. सो सर, हाउ टू मेक श्योर कि जो मैंने आज आइडिया चूज किया है मार्केट में, इट इज राइट एंड वैलिडेटेड एंड आई शुड गो फॉरवर्ड विद दिस आइडिया?
Your customer will tell you. अगर आपका कस्टमर खुद आ रहा है, आपको बेचना नहीं पड़ रहा है, and you're getting enough customers and they're paying you revenue, and that revenue is more than your cost, then maybe you're onto something.
So many startup founders cash out early after raising huge rounds, leaving their companies struggling. Do you think there should be stricter rules on founder exits? How does it work?
That's a contractual relationship between the investor and the founder. Definitely, if you're investing in a founder, and the founder decides to go away, that's a setback.
So, sir, what should be the right exit strategy for any
It could be anything. It could be a strategic sale. It could be an IPO. It could be a company buyback. It could be, just a sale to some other investor, or it could be hold forever. So we have been in Zomato since 2010. अब 15 साल हो गए. We're still there. We have been in PolicyBazaar since 2008. अब 17 साल हो गए. We're still there. That's also a strategy. We have not exited.
because you know they are gonna grow and they're gonna make you.
I mean, if you see more value creation opportunities going
Right.
ahead, you will keep invested. You will stay invested.
So, talking about IPO, just mentioned about the IPO. So, आजकल तो सबको यही है कि मुझे IPO निकालना है, मुझे यूनिकॉर्न बनना है. These are the two terms that are trending for literally every entrepreneur. So, what is your take on it? Like, IPO is a good strategy?
See, to do an IPO successfully, you have to succeed not just in the IPO. You have to also succeed in the aftermarket. बाद में क्या होता है मार्केट में? Which means आपका शेयर प्राइस कायम रहना चाहिए. Investors should have confidence in you. And public market investors are different from private market investors. Private market investors 2, 3, 4 होते हैं आपके कैपिटल पे. यहाँ पे it could be more than 1 lakh. Retail investors होंगे, individuals होंगे, households होंगे, right? And there'll be institutions. HNIs होंगे. आपको सबको satisfy करना है. Which basically means that if you want your share price to be healthy, which means above IPO price, so that your investors who come in the IPO do get a return.
Right.
You have to keep on growing and you have to keep on being profitable. Okay, so IPO is not an event. IPO is the start of a new journey.
So, sir, what is that one job you applied for before Naukri but you didn't get it?
Oh, no, I never ever switched a job.
Okay.
I just switched careers. From advertising, I went to do my MBA. From MBA, I went to work in marketing. From marketing, I became an entrepreneur. So I've never applied actually beyond these 2-3 places.
सर, ये बहुत ज़्यादा ट्रेंडिंग है जो आज की जनरेशन है, Gen Z जो हम बोलते हैं. So they give up very easily and they don't take rejections and failures too well. We have seen this trend. And then ये तो सबकी लाइफ का पार्ट है. आप जॉब में हो, आप स्टार्टअप कर रहे हो, फेलियर्स, रिजेक्शंस तो सबकी लाइफ में आएंगे. सो गिव अस सम टिप्स हाउ टू हैंडल दीज रिजेक्शंस एंड फेलियर्स.
I think you have to be more resilient. We made us ton of stuff. You have to accept the fact that you have to keep on trying until you succeed.
Right.
And if you're not prepared to do that, then whether you're in a job or you're in business, you will be challenged.
सर, वन लास्ट टिप फॉर द स्टार्टअप एंथुसियास्ट जो एकदम सैचुरेशन पॉइंट पे आ गए हैं कि मेरे पास थोड़ा ही कैश बचा है रन बर्न करने के लिए, फॉर अनदर 6 months का रनवे है, एंड देन बट आई स्टिल वांट टू सर्वाइव एंड आई वांट टू अचीव समथिंग इन लाइफ.
Go out and make sales calls yourself. Okay, if you make sales calls yourself, maybe you'll get some customers.
Wow. So, all right, got it. All right, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
giving
Thank you so
time.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
मतलब it was pleasure and guys, I think बहुत insights मिला होगा. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, guys, I hope this podcast must have helped a lot of job seekers, entrepreneurs और startup enthusiasts. आपको इतने सारे tips मिले होंगे डायरेक्ट फ्रॉम द गॉड फादर. उन्होंने सब बताया क्या उनके चैलेंजेस थे, कैसे उन्होंने ओवरकम किया और कैसे आप कर सकते हो. जहाँ जहाँ आप स्टक हो उस लूप में, ही टोल्ड यू कैसे आपको उस लूप से निकलना है, कैसे आपको सर्वाइव करना है मार्केट में, एंड कैसे यू कैन बिल्ड अ यूनिकॉर्न फॉर योर सेल्फ. यू विल हैव टू लाइक this video a lot and subscribe it. Till then, guys, take care and bye-bye. And let me know in the comments who would you want to see in our next podcast. And yes, lots of surprises are coming because we are connecting with amazing guests now. Till then, take care and bye-bye.